Gordon, welcome to the boot room. I've always admired the fact that you've said consistently, as a manager, your job is to try and make players better. Have you achieved some of that with this international squad?
Well, it's harder with an international squad. It's kind of making the group, that team thing better. As a coach, I think our duty is to make the team better and individuals better every day. I think if you went to train as a full-time manager, you have no help to do that. It's been a waste of a day. You need to watch sometimes that you don't contradict what maybe their own club manager is doing. I've also made it clear that when we come along here, this system, it mightn't suit your club, it mightn't suit, you know, a lot of clubs, but this is the best system we think for this group. So only taking what I've got to give you for this. But if you can learn something or passed on something for the club, then I'm delighted with that, because I'm way past, even when I started football, it stopped in terms of what I want to do, and I was lucky enough to play with a lot of good players that allowed me to win things and win champions and cups and play in Europe World Cup. And all I wanted to do with it for then on was give back a wee bit of what I've had, because I know if I give it back, I know how they're feeling, then that makes me happy.
What's the most difficult part of the job from being a club manager now to being an international manager?
I suppose you can't plan too far ahead in what your system's going to be or what you're going to try and achieve, because you think, right, okay, we might be playing Holland or something, we want to play this way, but you can't put a team together because you have so many injuries, and you can only disappoint yourself that way. If you say, right, I want that 11 and only 7 of them turn up for that, you can disappoint yourself. So I'm leaving the teams actually till the last, just before we get together. So I don't plan ahead on a team. And also the hardest thing is dealing with back-to-back games. And my first one was Wales, and I really couldn't get over the disappointment getting beat with Wales and having to deal with Serbia with only 1 day's training in between. I found that difficult. Where a club side, you can put aside and you can say, right, we'll go and play this way, and everybody knows what it's like. But we had to change the system a bit, and it was hard. I thought it was really hard within 24 hours to try and put a new system out with new players. That's why we're trying to stick to one system, but have another one on the side just in case we need to change it. So that's what we're trying to do. So that's, as I said to you, so then we get together, it's got to be like a club side, we all know our jobs.
And that in itself seems to be the great attraction now from the players' perspective, because everybody I speak to wants to be part of it.
Yeah, well, I get that feeling as well. The only problem is you get disappointed bodies. Then you have to deal with that, because that's a problem as well. And I was speaking to somebody over the weekend asking the difference between club management. If I'm a club manager and I'm paying you 40, 50, 60 grand a week, I can demand from you. I demand you to go and play there or do that, or you're dropped or that. As a Scotland manager, these players play for nothing unless they qualify for something. So they'll only come along here. So I've got to ask them to do things. You know, this is the way I want to play, lads, I want you to play there. So it's not a demanding thing. But the other side is that I've got to send them home, hopefully in a strong frame of mind, and as confident as they were when they turned up. Because I've seen players, take Gary McAllister for instance, you come along here to Scotland International, got a horrendous stick, maybe didn't play as well, and then I had to pick him up when he come back to play for Coventry. That was hard work. So I remember that. So I'm always trying to send players back one way or another, confident, no matter how they've played or what the result is, that I go back, that they're going back feeling good about themselves.
So you mentioned there as a manager, you have to be flexible because some players don't make themselves available. But when you took the job, looking at it from outside in and then taking the position as manager, did you have in your mind, this is the way Scotland should be playing?
I had an idea, and then I changed it after a game. I thought, no, it doesn't just quite sit there, because the system I thought might take a long, long time. And I think that system has to build up as a 15, 16, 17. I had to find out something that was simpler for them and something that everybody would understand. I tried something at Norway, and when we trained at the training ground twice, I thought, this is no bad. This is good, and I've seen it working elsewhere. Then I think, this is going to take hours and hours. When I see it working, because it wasn't too bad in terms of going forward in the shape. You might disagree because we never went forward to it, but it's when the game broke down. At that point, we looked like was the first time in 6 games it didn't look like a team defending. I know with defending, people say, well, but that was more a desperation defending rather than as a group defending. So that's what you've got to watch. You've got to try and keep it as simple as you can for the players to come in, but still be effective at the same time. The system at Norway, if I was in club football and had the players, I would like to do that, but work on more when the ball broke against us and we had to defend.
Do you feel then, obviously every manager needs that little bit of luck. Do you feel the more you get this team together that they're creating their own luck? We're a squad that doesn't have a Modric or a Ibrahimovic, a Ronaldo's, Ribery's, who can win games on their own, We have a team that, if you watch our goals, everything has to be worked for. We don't have anybody at this moment beats 3 players and whacks in the back of the net. We've seen the Portugal versus Sweden. It was Ronaldo versus Ibrahimovic, and if I had somebody like that, I'd mould a team around them. The only problem is if they get injured. But the top players don't seem to get injured. Messi's got a hamstring injury after about 6 years. It's amazing that the top players play loads of games. So if I had that, then I would mould a team. But we don't have that, so everything has to be around a team ethic. And if you can't, understand that and want to do it, then you shouldn't be here. Just a few points I want to discuss with you. I'm not going to ask you, can we make it to the European Championships? Are you optimistic about what you have available and maybe what could emerge from the youngsters that will have a fighting chance? Plus, of course, Michel Platini's extended the qualification. Yeah, well, I'll take a wee while to answer all that, to be honest with you. The first part is, can we do it? Yes, sounds like a yes, we can. We can do it. Do we need to get better? I think we need to get better. And the reason why we need to get better is because you can't guarantee who's playing against you. If you look at our squad this time, the group we were in, Croatia, for long parts of when we were playing against them, were number 3 in the world. Belgium went from the third pot to being one of the best teams in the world. Wales had Gareth Bale, probably the 3rd best player in the world. So we're up against that. Then I look at other groups and go, if we were in that, the way we're playing just now, we would have qualified. Absolutely no doubt about that. But you can't hope, you've got to sit there and hope that it's not going to be a strong group. You have to be ready for a strong group and have a team that compete against that strong group. And probably play against players in this group who are better than ours as individuals. What we've got to do is make sure that our group can beat the individual. Every fan, every pundit, they're all rolled into it and they're telling you who to pick. How do you, as a manager, try and not so much quash their opinion, but how do you try and put it across nicely that some players, because you are an educated manager, some players are just not going to make it to the level that you're looking at? That you right now you're being thrust. I think if anybody watched Belgium playing and Croatia playing and stood in the tunnel beside these guys, and you were there, they're different people from, say, lower Scottish Premiership. It's a different thing altogether. And our problem is we're asking players to play at that level and go right up there. And that's hard because for years, even if you go back 6-7 years ago when Celtic, last 16, Rangers got into the UEFA Cup final, there was probably 11 players playing regularly in Europe at the top level who could then go to the international level and take what they've learnt there and how they've played and had the confidence and go into the national side, which is great. We don't have that just now. We've probably got Charlie Mulgrew and Scott Brown. And you can tell the difference in they two playing Champions League because they've been starring for Scotland. Because they come into this environment and go, this is where I belong. It's hard to take from, if you're going from near the bottom, playing teams at the bottom, to then go and play in Belgium and say, deal with that. What we've got to try and do with the Scottish football is get more teams into Europe and doing better in Europe, which would help the national side. That's for sure. Even the ones we've got in England do not play European football. So is it difficult for you then when somebody says, oh, look at Ryan Gauld, look at Stevie May, look at Stuart Armstrong, look at Gary Mackay-Steven. How do you deal with that? Well, they're doing nothing. If people are asking, it's nothing that I don't ask myself, because we all get together and go, right, who should we be looking at? Right, that's what we're looking at, let's have a look. And we deal with that. And even this morning, that was the topic of conversation. The easy way about it is do what I do is never pick up a paper, never
listen to radio, I never watch the telly, so I don't know who's asking what. So I can come up here and be oblivious to all these questions. But the questions you're giving me, we're trying to put answers to them this morning with Mark Watser and Billy Stark. We're trying to put answers to that without, I didn't even know there was pressure. I think people only asking the question, should these lads be playing? Yeah, listen, we know what's going on, we're not blind. We're enjoying watching certain players at this moment. We're looking for more other players. And can they give us that? That would be great. There's no doubt about it. We'll have a couple of friendlies in the next 6 months. And it'd be great if we could use some of these lads who can keep up the standard of play. Then we bring in, because there's nothing better for me as a coach, I can assure you, and coaches, to have these youngsters coming in, even when I was a club manager, that enthusiasm, it vibrates around the dressing room. And it's helpful for coaches as well, that's for sure. But it's up to these people to keep playing. And again, the other thing, if they're at international level, and if they're really ready for international level, top clubs will come and buy them.
2 points to finish then. With the friendlies in mind, are you trying to pick a certain country that will be difficult to beat, or are you looking for something that's top drawer that will excite the fans? How do you gauge that? You
need to watch sometimes. If you're going for top drawer, like playing Brazil and conditions that they like playing in, that's a no-no, because we're not going to beat them, and you can end up being embarrassed. Because if you're playing the top, like Brazil just now, who want to win the World Cup, and we've got players who have just finished a long, hard season, we've got to something that excites them. It's not too taxing. They have a chance of winning, a good chance of winning, and we've got to spend our time on the training field, and the conditions will be good that we can spend the time in the training field. And again, that would be good if between now and June that young players, or even older ones, but people who want to come along, but more so the younger ones, would come along and excite the coaching staff and excite the players that are there.
And finally, on that draw that's looming ever closer, when it eventually comes around, are there countries that you just think you would desperately want to avoid, or is it?
Yeah, there's about 20 of them.
That many?
Yeah, but hopefully we're at the point now that a lot of teams will not want to play us. But I said that you never know what the draw's going to be, and I think that can be a big thing. And we were unfortunate that we got, as I say, we got 2 terrific sides and 1 world-class player to play against, and that wasn't easy. We are now wanting a side, that'll test us, but we've got to really forget about that, because you never know what's coming out these pots, and you never know, like Belgium, who can improve in a year and a half the way they did. But what we've got to do is improve ourselves, that's for sure, and improve by just being a good club side, a right good club side.
Brilliant. Thank you, Gordon Strachan.
Cheers, thanks very much. Thank you. That was good fun.